Welcome back, Truth Seeker. I recently went on a show called The Chaotic Truth Live, gave them a pretty good analysis of what Gematria is and how it's used by the cabal and how you can benefit in rigged sports. And as per usual, my trolls followed me into the channel and spammed the comments with a whole bunch of misleading information, including complete deliberate lies. One is spamming that I went 3-13 with my picks yesterday. Okay, here let's look at what I had yesterday. Again, for anyone who knows how I do it, I always give the top narrative for a game, and I always look at both sides of the equation, but top narratives are top narratives. And let's just scan through how we did in the NBA, the first day of the NBA Cup, where knowing Gematria can be quite lucrative. You see how that NBA Cup's 57? Tell me what the 15.5-point underdogs, the Hawks, did yesterday versus the Celtics. Did they become 5-7 because we thought there was a real chance they could? They were a highly recommended dollar parlay. That's where you try to stretch a dollar into 100 or more bucks. And you could have easily done it with last night's NBA picks. I know a lot of people had a great night. I did say it was smarter to take the Hawks with the points because they were a 15.5-point dog. And I know I've taught the world 1,000 times Atlanta's the 15 city. But again, if you took Atlanta with the points, you surely won your bet because they definitely covered as a 15.5-point dog and they outright won the game. And I was pointing out to my community, I can't remember a single 15.5-point dog from last season. It might have happened. There's a lot of 13.5-point dogs, but 15.5 is a really big dog in the NBA. And again, Atlanta is the 15 city. So again, you look at it. We look at what could happen. Some games are one-way streets. Some are a little bit trickier. When you have a tight situation with a dog, I highly recommend taking the dog with the points. When you have a lot of games that look good and you can structure a small bet and turn a small bill into a big bill off a big dog upset, I also recommend that. This is the way I teach people to play. Smart, efficiently, without having to make big risks to make nice profits. And again, I mean, you look at that game right there. The Celtics could fall to 3-2 at home. Atlanta Hawks has the gematria of 32 as well as 131. 131's 32nd prime. Hawks can become 5-7 like NBA Cup. Huge value in dollar parlay. 15.5 dog versus the 15 city. Good sign right there. They were going to cover it. The Heat and the Pistons game. Pistons, slight dogs with the better narrative to win. You notice they're the top narrative. Pistons can become 3-4 at home. Heat equals 34. The date numerology was 4, so they could stay on those 4 losses. Pistons can become 5-7. See a pattern here? NBA Cup, 57. Heat can fall to 3-3 away. NBA Cup, 33. Now, there were people on the Chaotic Truth panel that thought it was so dumb to have 4 ciphers. And again, the people who come to immediate conclusions that could be dumb are just dumb people. Again, this was all written in a book in 1926, before probably any of us that will ever see this video were alive. This information's been out there. This code behind the English language has been out there. I was the one who found it in the book and applied it and made some major discoveries, okay? Manly P. Hall writes about the ciphers, doesn't say much about them. So, again, you look at both sides of it, it is a tight game. I mean, there was plenty of narrative on the other side, but the better narrative was with the underdog Pistons, because they had the date numerology and the gematria more on their side. And the next game, the Hornets and the Magic, that there was a lot more going here for the favored Magic. They won their game last night. Again, if you guys haven't checked these box scores, you can check them. The Pistons won, the Hawks won, the Magic won. Magic were pretty considerable favorites, 7.5-point favorite. But definitely with the stronger narrative as well, especially looking forward at who these teams play next. You can see the scales are more stacked in their favor. The Knicks and 76ers. Knicks were a slight favorite last night. Definitely had the better narrative. There was a lot more going on the Knicks side, and they took care of business. Knicks beat the 76ers. The Raptors and the Bucks look like a one-way street. I didn't really see a single reason for the Raptors to win. Bucks won the game. Again, you can see it's gematria and date numerology. Bucks coach can stay on 31 losses. That's Doc Rivers. He did. Darko, the coach of the Raptors, can get his 67th loss. He did. And again, just like how there's similar paths in gematria that are all based on the alphabetic order. There's similar paths in numerology that are all based on a method. How can the date numerology be 31 and 67? Realize both of those numbers become 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. 67 is 6 plus 7 is 13. 13 is 1 plus 3 is 4. But the paths are, yesterday was November 12th, 2024. 11 plus 12 plus 20 plus 24 is 67. The life lesson numbers where you add the day and the month, 11 plus 12 is 23. And then you add the year digit by digit, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4, which is 8 more for 31. Again, you learn these methods, you use the same thing every day, you see how the world of sports is applying these ancient world practices. And again, Masonry's into this stuff. All of the major American sports are credited to Masons. That's why there is this connection. Now, the game that I was wrong about, I thought the Jazz would cover at plus 4.5. They did not, so that pick was wrong. It did seem that there was quite a few things going for the Jazz, and what's been disappointing is you see how it says Jazz can become 1-4 and Utah's 14? That used to be a lights out pattern with Utah. Lights out. And again, this is the problem with so many people in the world now knowing this knowledge. When I first started teaching this in 2013, 2014, 2015, it was 2016 where people really started to catch on. And that was because I nailed every sports future that year, called Prince's death, called a lot of things, the rig selection. A lot of people came into this knowledge in 2016. USA Today targeted me in 2016. Vice News and Sports Illustrated targeted me in 2017. Look at how many people are now selling this knowledge with Patreon picks. Things that used to be very, very good now just aren't as good as they used to be. Utah in 14 will still hit plenty this season, but once upon a time, that would have cashed. Utah in 14 came in at a very high rate. So, I'm always reminded when something like that doesn't come in now, I'm like, I remember the good old days. But notice, the knowledge is still good. It's not a bad day when you miss a game. I told people to be cautious with this Warriors and Mavericks game. We noticed it had a very special alignment with Curry. Golden State Warriors is 243. The tournament begins 243 days after his 36th birthday. The tournament's going to last 36 days. I gave his team the edge, mostly because of that. But looking at the two scenarios that were on both sides, I explained to people for the immediate game, it does look better for the Warriors. But sometimes you have to look ahead as well. And looking ahead made it look scary. If you went with my top narrative, you won. But I did tell people to use caution with this game. Mavericks can fall to 1-3 away. We call Dallas the 13 city. Golden State likes 41, which is the 13th prime. That is what happened in that game. They did prevail. And Curry was the star. And then my hometown Portland Trailblazers, nice big dog at the end of the night. Like I explained yesterday, they had plenty of narrative to win. It would be smarter to take them with the points. The Timberwolves did lose the game to the Blazers. If you took the Blazers with the points, you won. If you took a money line, you won a lot more. But again, full slate of games in the NBA, and we were on the wrong side of one of them. And meanwhile, I got trolls harassing the channel that I just shared this information with going, Zach went 3-13. It's like there weren't even 16 games to pick, troll. And no, we didn't. And I don't think we've ever gone 3-13. I mean, there's been some bad days here and there. It's just like this NFL season. We've had one losing week in terms of game picks. That was week 3. We've roasted the NFL in a lot of weeks, and every other week has been winning by a good margin. And that same week 3 where we did bad with the game picks, we absolutely torched player props. So even NFL week 3 wasn't that bad. But also here, just the day before Veterans Day, we projected weeks out why Chicago would become 12-0 versus the Bulls, because the Bulls love 12. On 12 date numerology was this game as well. So you had the Gematria and the date numerology. So the Cavs became 12-0 on Veterans Day, beating the Bulls. And we've been talking about how they synced up the Cavs with the election. They also became 6-0 away, like the 60th election. Trump became the 47th president-elect, paying tribute to Chicago, the 312 area code. So pay attention, Chaotic Truth audience, if you make it here. I was just telling you how Trump got 312 electoral college votes. Chicago's the 312, how Kamala had her DNC. I might have misspoke. Trump won the election with 312 electoral college votes, beating Kamala, who had the DNC there, connected to Oprah, who has her show there, Candyman died the day of. Candyman is set in Chicago. But notice, Chicago fell to 4-7 in this game. Like, Trump became the 47th president-elect. Cavs become 6-0 away. The 12-0 is a bit like 120, like Illuminati's 120. So anyway, Cavs look strong to beat the Bulls. The 12 thing was there. And Rockets and Wizards, again, top narrative here by a long shot was the Rockets to take care of business on Veterans Day. The Houston numbers were there. The military numbers were there. Took care of business. This game was a disappointment, the Nets and the Pelicans. The threat against the Pelicans, who were underdogs, was the holiday in the state of Louisiana. And I suppose I could have wrote Veterans Day equals 163, the 38th prime. But man, see, this is where you can get annoyed sometimes. You'll have a great day, but maybe there was a game you really liked and you put it in too many parlays and you didn't hit that because the game that you were feeling pretty damn good about didn't come in. I was feeling pretty damn good about the Pelicans winning. And they barely lost, but they were also a 1.5 point dog, and they ended up losing by 2 because the games are scripted like that. That's why Vegas always knows right where to set those spreads. But yeah, it did look good for the Pelicans. The holiday, again, this was Veterans Day. It came back and got them. That said, we're playing with plenty of house money with the Nets. They've hit some nice upsets for us this season. And then the other game that day was the Clippers and the Thunder, and Clippers were a 6.5 point dog in Oklahoma City, which equals 65, and they also fell to 6-5 like we expected them to do. And then they went into Houston, which we've always called the 31 city, with a 3-1 road record. Again, so. And then the last game of the day was the Spurs hosting the Kings, and the Spurs took care of business, and they had the stronger narrative. And again, we went 4-1 in the NBA the day before. For Monday Night Football that night, I got 2 out of the 3 picks right. I'm a little bit disappointed I didn't go for 3 for 3, and I'm a little bit shocked also in that game that one of them didn't come in. But I told people take Miami at plus 3.5. We knew they had a great narrative to win and upset, and they did. Earlier, my initial thought was take a money line, and a lot of people did too. But by the game time, I thought about it more. I said take them at plus 3.5. And if you don't know what that means they needed to win by, or not win, that means they needed to lose by no more than 3. They could win the game or lose by 3 to win the bet. And the reason we liked a money line to win initially, and which was the right call, is because it was Veterans Day, and Veterans Day equals 44, and it was in the 213 area code, and the Rams fell to 2-13 versus the Dolphins all time. Plus, when you write out Monday Night Football equals 213. What can make some games challenging is MNF equals 33, and that's the number we normally roll with. There was a chance Tua could have stayed on 33 wins, and there was a chance Stafford could have picked up his 33rd home win all-time with or not his 33rd home win, but his 33rd all-time win with the Rams. And again, some games are easier to call than others, but knowing the patterns, knowing the consistent numbers, it's how you get on the winning side. So as I just showed you, 4-1 on Monday. There were 5 games in the NBA that all started at 5. Well, that's out here on the West Coast. 5 games that started at 5 on Veterans Day. And keep in mind the word military equals 55 as well. Veterans Day, military holiday. And then, hold up. Yesterday, how many games were there? Because we got 1 wrong. So how many did we get right as the trolls are spamming away that we went 3-13? Hawks win. Pistons win. Magic win. That's 3-0. Knicks win. That's 4-0. Bucks win. That's 5-0. We got the Suns-Jazz game wrong. That's 5-1. We got the Warriors game. I'm not even going to give myself credit for it. We did get it right, but I did tell people it was dangerous. We'll just say we were neutral on that. Even though we got it right, I won't even give myself credit for it. We got the Blazers upset, so 6-1 the day before. But, this, and for people who don't know my work, this is what I have to deal with every day. A pack of lying trolls that follow everywhere and spam posts like we went 3-13 when, in fact, we torched the league again and did better than almost any gambler out there, as we've been doing since I got here, because this is the way the games are rigged. This is the way the selections are rigged. This is the way the news is rigged. It's undeniable. Anyone can prove it by applying the knowledge. So haters can keep on hating. Trolls can keep on trolling. If you get discouraged by the trolls, if you're a hater, again, it's not going to help you. Joining us, learning this, learning to do it yourself, that's going to help you. Guaranteed. Till next time, Truth Seeker.